Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 6th episode of SMAC. I am here in Cape Town, South Africa, and I'm introducing Kumar Rishi, all the way from Rishikesh in India today. And I'm really excited because Kumar is a Vedic astrologer, and it's something that I've always wanted to know more about. My journeys to India have been synchronizing with dates and Hindu festivals, specifically Navratri, the festival which is 9 days long. It's dedicated to the 9 incantations of Durga, the divine goddess. There's wonderful power and energy that has come out of these teachings. Kumar, please explain to us who you are, your history, how Vedic astrology is different to normal astrology. I'm also very interested to know, specifically for healers, light workers, and yoga teachers, what is the importance of incorporating this knowledge into our daily lives?
So, namaste, Amla, and thank you, first of all. Thank you for having me here. And I have been following you. I've been following what you are doing. You have been doing in Rishikesh and back home. It's phenomenal. It's beautiful. It's amazing. Your love for Rishikesh, for people, for animals. It's really, really beautiful and touching. And there's another, opportunity or this platform that you've created for a lot of people where you're connecting with them. I wish to congratulate you for that as well.
Thank you very much.
Very beautiful initiative. Now, coming back to the questions that you have asked me, you asked me a lot of questions. So I would suggest that you, ask me after I've answered my question, ask me the next question so I can remember.
Okay.
My name is Kumar Rishi. I have a really long name, so I go by the name Kumar Rishi. This is a name which comes to me from my grandfather. And so I'm from a family of astrologers, with astrologers. And so what we've been doing is like we've been practicing this science, also an art, also called like an ancient science or art, whatever. But we've been following this thing, practicing this thing from a very scientific point of view since many generations. You can say the supporting evidence or supporting statement for that is like presence of a lot of famous people in our family coming to our family for consultations, including prime ministers and Mahatma Gandhi, Queen, Jyotish. So it is not because they were coming to us to know their fortune or their make quick predictions, but it was basically the way we were doing, or the way my grandfather was doing at that time. It was like we were enabling people with giving them the tools to manage their time. They're giving them the tools to how to plan, because sadly, at the present time, astrology is a science which is very limited only to making fortune telling or prediction or telling like this is going to happen to you and everything. But it is not that science. It is a similar thing which has happened to yoga. Yoga is not about physical movement or flexibility. Yoga is a way of living. Anything which is coming from Vedas is a way of living. So Veda has 6 limbs. Out of that, Jyotisha or astrology is one of the most important limbs. That means that the knowledge of Veda is incomplete if you don't have the knowledge of Jyotish or astrology. Because astrology is considered to be the eyes of Vedas. So if you want to see the Vedas, you need to have astrology.
Let's just stop there for a moment and explain to someone that has absolutely no clue what is Veda and Vedas.
Okay, so this is, you can say, accumulation of a lot of wisdom and knowledge through practical experience, research that ancient Maharishis or ancient sages or ancient people like you and me, they worked, they researched, and they gathered that information and they passed it on. This information was not written anywhere. This information was always passed on from one generation to another. It was always spoken. That is the reason why we give so much of importance to what we say. So if you will look at the way we are communicating, like we're saying namaste instead of saying hello, because these ancient sages were aware that there is a God sitting inside you, and there is God sitting inside me. And this God needs to be connected, needs to be worshipped, needs to be appreciated. Doesn't matter who you are. So Vedas is basically a knowledge bank. And this is not just, you cannot, I would not like to say that it is only Indian. I would say it is global. It is a source of information from everywhere. And it is common to everywhere. All the older civilization had something which was like Vedas. But the only difference is that in India it got preserved. Although there were so many attacks and so many things happened, but it got preserved and then it was passed on.
How were they harnessing this information and this knowledge at the time? Did they understand that they had to go into some kind of meditation to receive this knowledge?
Okay, so the way these people, ancient people, were looking, there is a concept called Desh Kal Prantar, or you can say like the time or the location and the person at that moment. And based on that, things are different. So at that point of time, maybe like let's suppose 5,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago, when this civilization was booming, they were making parallel notes of whatever was happening. Parallelly to the existing life that they were living, they were also making notes for a future life to come in. Making notes so that we know a process, a protocol by which we should function to achieve certain things.
Yes.
So they understood that we are made up of different elements. So they started worshipping those elements. Now, due to all the distortion, it has completely changed. Because now we are more about worshipping a statue, or going to a temple to worship a statue. But this is not what Veda says. Veda is nothing about that. Veda says elements. And it says that these are elements which are there in nature, and these are elements which are also there in us. If we want to be whole, we need to connect ourselves with these elements. When you read Jyotisha, the first line which comes is, it says, Yat Brahmande Tat Pinde. It means like whatever is there in the universe is exactly the same inside us.
Yes.
This is the foundation on which Jyotisha is studied. So when you're making a fortune prediction about your coming future and everything, that is not what the only purpose of astrology is. The first purpose of astrology is to know that whatever is there outside, it's exactly the same inside. So it is a science which is connecting us with elements. It is a science which is very much psychological because it is resolving our psychological issues. And it is a science of time management, time planning, basically. So when somebody comes to me for a consultation, so what my agenda is always to help them see their own qualities.
Yes.
Help them plan their own time. I don't want to predict. Like people say, okay, make this prediction, what will happen in this coming year and everything. That future is in our hand to write. This is what Veda said. The eyes can show you where you have to go.
Yes.
It cannot take you there.
Your
karmas will take you there.
You're reaffirming for me what I'm experiencing now. And you're saying taking the outside environment in, but I'm at a point now where I feel like my spirit has become my security blanket, and I'm able to bring how I'm feeling inside, outside, because I've already made the physical understanding of the synchronicities that have happened in my life. And I feel definitely guided by spirit and some divine source, which I don't try and over explain. I just try and embody it and just feel safe in knowing that I am being guided. But obviously that knowledge is so important, so we know how to map these events in our lives, and so that we continue on that straight path.
Exactly. And the beauty of Vedas is that this is what it's all the way talking about. It is telling us that this spirit guide, this God, or the torchbearer, or the person guiding you or showing you the way to proceed where you want to go further in your life. Surprisingly, that person has always been there, and that person is you. That guide is you. And the only difference between you in the moment and the you which existed 5 years or 10 years ago is that you was not aware or was not trying to connect itself with this you.
Yes.
There is nothing external, which is going to come and help us or bother us unless internal agrees with it.
Mm.
So the moment it's like the coronavirus, our immunity agrees that we want to get attacked, so the virus attacks us. Otherwise, I don't know how we have billions of viruses inside us, which are actually functioning for our, good. We are used to them. Bacteria and all these things are there in us, and they are helping us to become one. But when we disagree with something, we throw it out.
Yes.
Or it affects us. So similarly, that is you who is actually guiding yourself.
Yes.
And that is the beauty of astrology, that it does not do anything. Like an astrologer cannot change your fate. A lot of astrologers claim that, you come to us, we'll give you this remedy, do this. There's no remedy for karma. You have to do it. You have to do it. There's no shortcut for that.
Understanding there's no shortcut, but what can we do by using astrology to help us get to these realizations quicker? Because I think we are in a little bit of a race at the moment, and we must understand that where we are now, we've been conditioned. We're at this point where we've got so much information flooding us, conspiracy theories and secrets from all over the world. How do we raise our awareness quick enough to have these realizations so we can reset ourselves with awareness within ourselves?
It's like when I was a kid and I used to go to school, so we would write a note on a paper, like a notebook, and when the page finishes and I still have something to write, I would write a small note, PTO, saying that please turn over. Means like, I'm not finished yet, please turn over. And on the next page, you will get to see the same thing. And also with today's time, we see that there is a recap of what we saw before. With astrology, these ancient sages were able to create that PTO point for us, or that recap point for us, from where we can go and see the karma that the person was doing in previous life, and the karma he is supposed to do in this life by his born. When in my consultation, this is the first thing that I work on. What my focus is, people come with their own agenda, but I work with my agenda. That's my way of working. That I will deliver what I want to, and then I will go to your questions, because I feel if the bigger question is answered, the smaller questions stop existing.
Absolutely.
So if your bigger question is like, for example, to know what is your karmic path, the moment you know what is your karmic path, whatever you do, you will try to sync it with your karmic path.
Yes.
Because your karmic path is not a point, it's not so simple like from point A to point B. It is point A to point B with a billion possibilities in between, a billion way of going there. So, but if you know what's your karma, like for example, if you know that the flight that you have to take is from India to Cape Town, right? That is the flight, that's the destination. But you can fly from here to England, US, or wherever you want to go and still reach there. But your final destination is known to you, then whichever path you know, back of your mind, you know that, okay, I have to ultimately go to Cape Town, so let me prepare for something over there. So it is the hardest thing to do, because it is our karma, and we always try to run away from whatever karma is. But it is something which we will find unknowingly we have been doing. In some or the other way, we are always connected with the karma, either creating more heaviness in it or making it more smooth and soft and light.
Isn't that key when you talk about that high vibration? You have to go towards those higher vibrational attributes to sync with that spirit.
Exactly. So I'll add one more example to this. It's like, for example, if somebody's karma in this life is to have is to understand basically what is a relationship, for example, you will find that these are the people who will always struggle with having relationship, and they will have multiple relationships, or they will have none. Either way, they are connected, because the ones who are having none, they are not doing the karma of knowing what a relationship is, and the ones who have many are again not learning from the mistakes and moving towards the right path, right direction.
It all comes down to self-worth and healing oneself first before we extend ourselves to others. And I've learned that the hard way, and it frustrates me sometimes knowing that I started this journey so late at the age of 36, and 9 years later, I'm still learning. You never stop learning about these things. And the knowledge that has come out of India has just been like diving into an abyss. I have to stop myself from being so overwhelmed, but I've seen the mistakes that I've made with relationships in the past, and how my criticism of myself and feeling ashamed and embarrassed and really not knowing where to go intuitively, once I asked God or spirit for what I wanted, and the only message I was putting out there was that I really wanted to help people. When I really started planting those seeds of what my heart was saying to me, I started swimming to the surface. Yeah.
Pamela, if I tell you that tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock, you will be enlightened, for example, if I give you this, So tomorrow morning, 5 o'clock is when you get enlightened. I've given you this message. Is there a way you can get enlightened before that?
Yes, probably. But I would think that you are subliminally putting something in my brain, like if I wanted to wake up to an alarm clock and I thought about 6 o'clock in the morning a few times, I would wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. How does that work?
Point I'm trying to make here is like, if you are supposed to achieve your enlightenment at 5 o'clock tomorrow in the morning, if you remain patient and if you enjoy your ignorance at the moment, your enlightenment is going to be more beautiful. Because that's when the universe wants you to have it. So if when at the age of 36 you entered and you started discovering yourself and you feel that it's been 9 years and you're still discovering, it is a beautiful journey and you should appreciate it. Absolutely. Because your chaos, your confusion, your doubts, it is actually what makes you who you are now. It is not something to be ashamed of. It's not something to fight. It's not something. It should not be something that we make toxic. Yes. Because that's the whole journey. Everybody is looking for enlightenment. Everybody's like, all the gurus and everybody's telling enlightenment. I ask you a simple question: if you get enlightened, what will you do next?
I'd be exactly the same person as I am now.
Exactly. So enlightenment is a myth. Yes. You don't have to be in certain position to get enlightened. You can be enlightened at the moment you are. Yes. When you see a hungry man and you see that I have the potential to feed this person, and you go and feed that person, you're enlightened. Yes. You don't need special lightning and thunder and something supernatural happening and now you're enlightened. That doesn't happen. Yes. Not even in the movies. Yes. So this journey on which you are is really beautiful. And I think not only are you inspiring yourself, you're also inspiring a lot of other people around you who get inspired by looking at what you're doing.
Well, you have also been really supportive to divine goddesses, women all over the world. Can you just tell us a little bit about the importance of this divine feminine energy, and also how high vibrational this energy is in Rishikesh?
Sure. So first thing is like in our tradition, in the Hindu tradition, we have always been worshipping Shiva. We've always been with Shiva because Shiva is an endless entity. You can say it has no form. It's not like the way we paint him and everything. He has no form. He is every sort of like dark matter, you can say, or every sort of matter in this whole universe. That's Shiva. Okay, so that means that there's something which is a lot of potential is Shiva, but that potential has no movement. It is lying dead. So the actual name for Shiva is not Shiva, it's Shava. Shava, like Shavasana. Okay. What is the meaning of Shavasana? It's like lying dead. Yes. Dead asana. So if I talk about dark matter, if you talk about space, we don't know what's there. It's dead. Everything is floating there. It's dead. It is Shava. When it gets struck by a ball of energy, it suddenly becomes Shiva. And what is that energy? That energy is the divine feminine. It has always been considered like this, that Shiva is the material or the car which is going to take you somewhere, and Shakti is the fuel, the gasoline that you put together. Then you have an amazing machine which will take you wherever you want to go. You can use it as a rocket, you can use it as an aeroplane or a car or a small machine at your home. But this machine will work only when you have Shava coming with Shi power and becoming Shiva. So divine feminine and the divine masculine comes together, and they became powerful. They became life. So the worshipping goddess, this is the reason why I'm a goddess worshipper. Because if I have to do anything, if I have to achieve Shiva, first thing I have to get myself connected with the energy or with the goddess, because only she can bring that vibration in me. She can create that vibration in me. Shiva is meditating, but his meditating is just like a rock. But the moment he comes in contact with Shakti, that rock takes form and becomes a human or earth. That earth, if we have 5 elements, different elements, it's Shakti which binds them all together and makes us whole, complete. That's the why women are considered to be the bringer of life.
Life force.
Not only, they're bringing in today's literal terms as well, but in spiritual terms also they're doing the same thing.
So they say that is it then Shakti would be the creator, Shiva is the destroyer? I've heard that analogy as well.
No, so Shiva is not the destroyer. That is again a wrong way of looking at Shiva. That is so there is Holy Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. You can say all of them are different forms of, like, let's suppose there are 3 different elements: fire, water, and earth. Okay, they're different elements. So all 3 elements need energy to come to life. So all 3 of them, they need Shakti. Okay, so all 3 of them, they pick up their own form of Shakti, and then they start creating this world. But for Shiva being considered a destroyer is in a different context. That is that we say that Brahma is the one who is creating something, Vishnu is the one who is preserving something, and Shiva is the one who is destroying something. Okay. So what is Shiva destroying? That is an important thing for us to know. Brahma creates a body. Brahma creates a sort of an ego. This is not negative ego. This is not the way we understand ego. The word is ahankar. It is not negative all the time. It becomes negative if we don't practice it properly. So Brahma creates that. Vishnu is Maya or materialistic. Okay, Vishnu supports that. It gives us whatever we want. But when we get whatever we want, this ego, which was pure, it turns into negative. And when this negative ego takes over control, that's when Shiva becomes a destroyer. He fixes our mind. He tells us to meditate. He comes, brings us down, but he does not destroy the world. He's the transformer. He's not the destroyer. He's the transformer.
Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah. In the present moment, astrologically speaking, the coronavirus threat and whatever is going on, whether you call it conspiracy, 5G, this, whatever is going on, this is also happening because it is under control of Shiva. The planets are under in such a nakshatra, which is controlled by the destructive form of Shiva. So Shiva has many forms. So it is Rudra form in which the present time we are going through. So it's a transformative time for all of us.
Absolutely.
Collectively.
Yes. Yeah. So that said, the relevance of astrology for healers and light workers and yogis, who I believe should also embrace their healing attributes and qualities and do a lot more healing and karma yoga work in this day and age. How will knowing more about Vedic astrology help us get through this and in the future?
First thing that you need to know, again, coming back from what we started off, but how did the Maharishis became, or how did they learn about this science of astrology? This science of astrology came through yogis only. It is not a science which is coming from somebody else. It was a yogi who would go into deep meditation and his third eye activates and he starts to see the future. So even today, maybe I don't know where, but there are so many astrologers who are actually yogis and rishis. They don't need to see your horoscope. They will look at you and they will tell you that this is what you are, what your path is, where you're coming from, and where you need to go. This was the knowledge, or this was my grandfather's science. Like he would not need to make your chart. He would look at you, and he would look at you, and he would say that you are Pamela. You've come from South Africa for this thing. This is your karma. Just go ahead and do that. That's why he was very powerful, because he was able to do it this way. So maybe I'm also trying that, but maybe I'm not there yet. But to become that kind of yogi that I can just close my eyes and see it. I can see it to a great extent. When I look at a person's chart, I don't read their chart for a long time. I just take a look at their chart. Like my study of their chart takes like 2 minutes, maybe less than that, because that's all the time I need to understand what their chart is. Because
so if
then I apply my yes.
I was going to say, if anybody wants to contact you for a reading or whatever it is that you do during your sessions, how would the procedure work? Is there something that they need to complete?
See, they need to share the information, like the birth details with me, because I'm going to create the horoscope. And because the science that I am following is going with mathematics only. I've not yet reached that point where I don't need any information and just look at your face and completely that. So the way I am working right now is that I take your birth details, that's your date, your time, and place of your birth. The accuracy is really important, because based on that only I would be able to pull up the information. Because there are two aspects of Vedic astrology, and this is what makes it different from other astrology. First aspect is mathematics, and the second aspect is spirituality. It's a combination of these two. An astrologer without spirituality is not an astrologer. An astrologer without mathematics is also not an astrologer. It has to be a combination of both. What we find is that in some, gone by years, a couple of centuries, our focus shifted. There were two streams. One was only mathematics and one was only spiritual. So to get the best out of it, we need to bring them together. We need to have the calculations correct, and we need to have the spirituality correct. So when you have these two things correct, then you get better, you can say, guidance. So what I consider my job profile or my job responsibility as is to guide a person in the right direction. People come to me with different expectations, different ideas, different experiences that they had from past with other astrologers. I tell them that, like, I appreciate what you want. I will try to give you as much as I think you should take, but I would, really, since you've come to me, that means I take it as a sign from the universe that the universe wants me to tell this thing to this person.
Yes.
Because that's the knowledge the universe has given me. So
Right.
if it has given me that knowledge, it wants me to share that knowledge. So that's why with anyone who comes, maybe they are like, a lot of time people come, they're like not interested. They're like, no, just come to the point, tell me, am I going to get married? No, I'm not. I don't rush. I said, no. My sessions are usually 2 hours or 3 hours long.
Okay.
I tell them, like, if you are coming here, just be patient.
Yes.
And within these 2 hours, I'm going to say something which would, maybe it will take just a thing which is for like 2 seconds or 5 seconds. But you will have to spend that 3 hours to get to that spot of 5 seconds of real information that you really need at the moment.
Yes, realization.
So that's how I see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
This has been really fascinating. I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of questions for you as time progresses forward. Is there any last words you'd like to share with viewers and how they can get into contact with you?
What I would like to say for all of us is that this life that we've been given is really beautiful. And since its beginning, it has always been a roller coaster, and it will always be a roller coaster. So if we decide to enjoy that ride, life is very easy. If we don't, then it's really complicated. Similarly, like astrology is very simple. It's a very simple science, but it's the most complex science that you can ever find. For a single instance, there can be 1 billion possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
But the beauty is that the answer, out of those 1 billion possibilities, the real one answer is not so difficult to find. And the real answer is that surrender. This is the way it is. There is no need to fight. There is no need to complain. There is no need to find so much of negativity.
Yes.
Basically, healing is a process. It will continue. But considering that healing is only the process is also wrong.
Mm.
Because then you might be healing other things, but the disease, the new disease that you're growing is a feeling that I am not healed or I need constant healing. That is another disease.
We must have faith in ourselves.
Yes. So what my final word would be like to have more of faith in ourselves, faith in the universe. Basically, don't have faith on people or that, it's up to you, but have faith on the universe. It knows where it is taking us, and it will take us where we should go, where we need to go, and we'll be happy there as well. Yeah. So the real secret is just remaining. Surrender.
There is such power. There's such power in positive thought. There's such power in what we speak, and we need to observe ourselves. We need to detach for a time, which we are being allowed to do now, and observe what we think and speak and feel. And the more we can trust ourselves and our spirit and connect with that deeper sense of self, keep reaffirming these positive things in your life, you will find a way.
Exactly. So every day when we wake up and every day when we're seeing, especially now, the corona threat and the coronavirus and then the conspiracy theories parallelly running around it, what I do is like, I'm not taking any of them now. I'm not even favoring, or I'm not against or in favor of saying that, okay, Bill Gates is trying to do this thing. This is all a setup. This is all this. I'm not waking up to that anymore. I'm not waking up to this, that there is a lockdown everywhere, there's going to be recession. I'm not waking up to that, because when we wake up to that, we send the similar energy out, the energy of fear. And we are saying uncertainty. We don't know. Maybe they're trying to do this. It might be real. It might not be real. Either ways, we don't have a choice. No. We don't know. The choice we have is to be here, in here. If we go here, then remember the first line of astrology, go inside, you will find the answer for outside. So right now, just go inside and meditate. We know what's going on and we will be able to manage it better.
Wonderful.
So yeah, that is what I would like to say. And for the people who want to connect to me, there are my profile is there on Facebook, and I have a website which I will share with you. Should I say it now? It's like kvastrology.wordpress.com. Okay. It's like K as in like kilo, V as in Victor, and astrology, one word, KV Astrology. And it's .wordpress.com. You can find there, or I have a Kumar Rishi's Celestial Project, where I am also teaching. Yeah, I didn't mention that. Apart from giving one-to-one consultation, I'm also teaching Vedic astrology. I have been teaching in Rishikesh, and I'm giving online classes at the moment as well to my students across the world.
Well, we'll share all those links in the posts across our communities. And thank you so much for your beautiful presence and everything you do in this life. You've been a real blessing to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Kamala. You're a blessing to all of us. Thank you.
Goodbye, everybody.